Hi students, and welcome back to today's second live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope all of you are looking forward to a fantastic weekend. Students, in this class we're looking at an IELTS Task 2 writing question. It is the big question for the writing section, worth 2/3 of your mark, the persuasive essay. This Task 2 question will focus on your opinion of modern day education systems. This material, again, is brought to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS, visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. Now, the good news, Task 2 is more or less the same for academic IELTS as well as general IELTS. The only difference is really, I think, in the marking. General IELTS is marked maybe a little bit easier for Task 2 than the academic, but the questions seem to be fairly similar, asking for your opinion. Both of those are persuasive essays. You can learn a lot more about these essays on our websites in our premium courses. Our academic IELTS website looks like this. Click the big red button. And that's just above my head there. One click. Check out, make the payment. It's a one-time payment. You get lifetime access. We are an IDP affiliate. We're a British Council partner. We're an IELTS test registration center. I'm a British Council agent. We help thousands of students every day improve their English. We have the best course for the best price for you for learning online. Same for the general IELTS at gieltshelp.com. Again, click that big red button. It is a one-time payment. You get lifetime access. Welcome to our members. Hi, Fuang. Hi, Anna. Welcome, Elizabeth. Good to see our chat moderator, Carolina, and many of our subscribers, Mohibur, Kruti, Alan, Glory, Sunny. Nice to see all of you here. Everybody, this is a members chat class. To join the chat, simply just subscribe to the channel. It's easy. It's free. Again, on the websites, you can use this code PUBLIC9 to get an extra 10% discount. And you can use that code also when you buy the course through YouTube by clicking on shopping, checking out through Shopify. If you check out through Shopify, just make sure to send me an email so I can activate your account. It's adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. We've got lots of Task 2 sample essays on our websites for you. Here's a sample essay from one of our blogs as well. This is about fitness in schools. It's kind of a similar topic that we're going to cover today. Definitely, there are essays in the IELTS that ask you questions about school or education, as it is a major part of society. So be ready for that. We're going to look at the one today. The apps that complement your websites are Academic IELTS Help for the aehelp.com website, and General IELTS Help complements gieltshelp.com, so you can download those apps and link them to the websites under the More button in the app. Students, we've got Task 2 right now. It's a subscribers chat class. Again, subscribing to the channel is free and it's a great idea. You will get notifications, of course you need to enable them, of the live classes when they're happening. Tomorrow we will have Speaking Part 2 and Speaking Part 3 live class. As many of you know, we actually talk with our viewers through Zoom right now. Other days we talk to our students through the websites. So join those speaking classes tomorrow. And here's that bar graph video again for Task 1. We just finished a bar graph essay, so check that out when you have some time. Now let's get into IELTS writing Task 2. So be very careful when you read the Task 2 question. The first tip, and perhaps the most important tip, is your essay has to focus on the question. You cannot just write a general essay that talks about education. You will not get a good score. So you have to answer the question specifically. Okay, you must answer the question specifically. And you need to spend 40 minutes on the task. Okay, make sure to spend 40 minutes. The way you should break down that 40 minutes is about 5 minutes planning. Okay, a lot of students just start writing right away, paraphrasing the question. That will not lead to a good score. Okay, simply starting to write immediately as soon as you read the question without really thinking, paraphrasing the question in a simple way, telling your reader that this essay will discuss, doesn't lead to good band scores. Those are template type essays. Examiners see thousands of them. They don't like them. They don't give them high scores. Okay, so it's okay to learn that as a start, but you need to have a better strategy in the IELTS for band 7, 8, 9, or even 6.5. Okay, so spend 5 minutes planning, spend about 30 minutes writing, and spend about another 5 minutes reviewing. Okay. So that's roughly. Now, it depends on your speed, depends on your ideas. You might be a little bit faster in your planning. You might be a little bit faster in your writing, spend more time on review, but that's roughly how you should divide your time. Got it? Everybody good? Yeah? Okay, everybody clear on that? Yes, hopefully. Okay, once you see the question, read the question. Let's do that now. So modern education should focus on interests and strength of each student rather than a standard lesson plan. Discuss the advantages and negatives of this and give your own opinion. So benefits, negatives of custom, individual teaching plans versus kind of a general lesson plan or curriculum. Okay? And for those of you who are going to school in the US or Canada or in the UK, you will discover that this is kind of the new direction of the education system. Is the education system focuses on each student rather than just giving general lessons in math or writing or reading. Okay. All right. And you need to write at least 250 words. They do count your words in the computer-based exam. It's super simple because they have a word count. You can actually see your word count in your computer-based exam. That's one of the advantages. In the paper-based, they count them. So they count 3 lines, take the average, multiply it by your number of lines, and they figure out roughly how many words you have. If it's less than 250, they will count it specifically. And if it's less than 250, then it's an incomplete task, and that will lower your score. So just keep in mind, everybody, and a lot of you who are in these classes regularly know this, that band 7 to 9 Task 2 essays are closer to 280 to 300 words. Okay, it's virtually impossible. I've talked to lots of examiners about this, and I said, hey, you know, like if somebody writes 250, 255 words, what's the chance of getting like a band 8 or a band 9? And the answer I get every single time is basically none. Nothing, unless it's an incredible piece of writing, which almost does not exist. They basically say it's just not enough to provide the clear, detailed information for the question. So if they're scoring for a band 8, 8.59 especially, they find that it's much, much closer to 300, sometimes even a little over 300 words. Now, in my last exam, I wrote like 500 words for task 2. It's too much. Don't write that much. Okay, and I think for me that was a problem in my writing. So definitely keep it around 300. What you want to do is once you reach that 300-ish words, if you're fast and you're good at typing or writing, you need to just really spend time to review and check your grammar, check your language, check the coherence. So spend it on review rather than writing more and more and more. Okay. Mercy says, I roughly make some bullet points on my ideas, then I start writing. Yeah, so Mercy, exactly. That's a good way to do it, writing bullet points. What's important is that you know what the bullet points are, okay? So I'll give you an idea. So bullet points are okay, and we can do that, okay? You can do bullet points, sure. Let's do bullet point planning today. Okay, bullet point planning. Which means in just a very short way. And I think that's a smart idea, because when you practice and you know the questions that you need to ask yourself, you just make bullet points of the answer. Bullet points are, well, we can do it with hyphens. So bullet points are like that, basically. The first bullet point should always be what? What do you think? What should be your first bullet point? Okay. All right, Domenico, you have fun in school. Check out the class later. Tell us about your adventures. I'm jealous. I'd love to be doing some marine biology like you. All right, so what's your first bullet point, everybody? It's for those of you who are in these classes regularly, you should know what your first bullet point needs to be. Andrew says the introduction. Well, that doesn't give me a lot of specific ideas, Andrew. Like, what about the introduction? Your first paragraph is your introduction, Andrew. Very good, Kruti. Very good, Fuang. I give you a thumbs up. Identifying the topic. Okay. Now, of course, when you know this, you don't have to write identify the topic. You just write your bullet point. So what's the topic of this question? So modern education should focus on interests and strength of each student rather than a standard lesson plan. Discuss the advantages and negatives of this and give your own opinion. Anna says modern education. Anna, good. We've got a couple of Annas in here now. Good. Yeah, it's modern education. Okay, so it's not just education, but it's modern. It's like new education systems, right? So here, the topic for sure is modern education, or you might even add the word focus. Okay, so the focus of modern education. All right. Okay. So you need to identify that clearly. And then your second bullet point should be the controlling ideas, right? Okay. So the controlling ideas here are the advantages, disadvantages, and opinion of custom versus general content. Everybody with me on that? Okay. So according to this question is saying modern education system should be focusing on each student's strength, weaknesses, instead of just kind of a general education curricula. And the disadvantage, the advantage, and your opinion of this, right? Okay. So that should be your controlling ideas. Okay, now your next bullet point should be definitions. So it should be definitions and insights into the topic, into the controlling idea. And the best way to think about this is what, why, and how. Okay. So here you can do bullet or sub-bullet points. So I can go like this here, where basically I indent and then give another bullet. Okay. So let me just do it with a star this time. Okay. So what? Here the what is the first. Okay, what is modern education? Okay, Sufyan, you don't need to ask if you can ask, just ask. If I see your question and it's an important one, I will definitely do my best to answer it, especially if I catch it. All right. Epsilonator is asking, how do I fix mistakes? Is it okay to add omission marks in case I need to add something in between? Yes, absolutely, Epsilonator. So if I want to remove a word, then I just do one strike through like this in my essay. If I want to add a word, then I do that little insertion V from above. Okay. So that's how I would fix the mistakes there. If you're doing the paper-based exam, Epsilonator, definitely write in such a way that you're able to add words or make omissions as needed. Okay, so don't write it too tight and too big. So pay attention to that. Okay. Elizabeth says latest or newest education. Elizabeth, that doesn't really help us understand what modern education is. Okay. Glory says advanced education. I don't think that's enough. So when you're answering this what question, you need to have a clear definition for your reader. Okay. What do you think this question is focusing on? Okay. Ugelhan says it's cutting edge technology. I don't think so. Romelia says contemporary. That's just simple paraphrasing, but it doesn't help understanding. Okay, students, when you're thinking about definitions for your reader, this is an important tip. Okay, when you are thinking about definitions for your reader, in this case, the examiner, you have to think in a way that allows the reader to better understand the context. Okay? And usually, or in many cases, this is going to be quantification. Okay? Remember, everybody, math is the universal language. The reason why we call math the universal language isn't just because we all see number one as number one, okay? For example, if you speak Japanese, then you know that the number one does not look like the Arabic numeral, but in Japanese, the number one is simply a line, okay? The number 2 in Japanese is simply 2 lines, one shorter, one longer, right? So universally, it doesn't look the same. They both mean 2, right? This is 1, this is 1 line. They both mean 2. It's not just that. It's that with math, we have the same notion. Okay, we have the same idea. A 1 is a single. It's a 1. It's 1 unit. It's 1 coffee mug, not 2, right? So quantification helps us define and helps us understand. Okay? And humans are big on quantifying and categorizing. Okay, so quantify and categorize. So when we think about what, then I would say modern education in this question, okay, because of course it's specific to what the question is targeting. So modern education, for me as the writer, means now, so 2023, and the future, okay? So let's say 30. I don't know what education will be like in 2100, but let's say over the course of the next 7 years in public or government schools, ranging from primary to secondary schools. Okay, so that would be my what. Okay, and if I'm doing bullet points, I would just do the 2023 to 30 primary to secondary curriculum. Those would be my words. Okay, everybody understand that? So now, do you understand what I mean when we discuss modern education system in this essay? I'm referring to the curriculum of public schools in the current year to the next 7 to decade. Okay? Kruti says yes. Okay, so when we write that, now your reader will be on the same page. They will go, okay, I get that you now understand modern education system as this. Okay? All right, and then why? So here, the why question, of course, is an important question. So understanding the right questions. And let's see, it was Miriam who suggested the bullet points, I think. I'm just looking now. Mercy. So Mercy said, let's do bullet points. And bullet points are good, but you can't just do random bullet points, because if you do random bullet points, your ideas are all over the place, your essays all over the place, your mark is low. Okay, so you have to have a system to your bullet points. That's very important, right? And in this system, you need to ask the right questions. So why discuss? Why is it important? Why should we target modern day education systems? So why make improvements, or why change modern day education systems? These are the kind of questions that come to my mind when I think about this question. So why change? Okay, what's the purpose here? What is the purpose? What's the ultimate goal? What do you think? So why does IELTS raise this question? And it's not just IELTS. So when you're thinking about IELTS, you shouldn't just think, oh, this is an IELTS question. No, it's a social question. It's a question that's asked by societies. IELTS just uses popular questions that are the focus of many communities, people, and societies. And you need to keep that in mind. A lot of people, like I saw a really strange comment on one of our YouTube videos where they're like, it doesn't matter, it's just the IELTS. IELTS isn't some Martian concept. IELTS is an international English language testing system. It takes ideas that are internationally important for people and societies. So these questions come up in everyday walks of life, okay? So keep that in mind. So note that, okay? So IELTS focuses on questions that are relevant to many people and societies around the world. Okay? It's not just IELTS. That's a poor way of thinking about the exam. Okay? So why should we want to change? So Ayush says it's because of growing technology. Elizabeth says it's to provide quality education. Okay. Ugolhan says to improve the quality of education. What does that mean? So again, when you're writing good essays, you're always changing the qualitative nature of information to a more interpretive or quantitative nature of information. So you're saying improve quality. What does that mean? What does the improvement of quality mean in education? So what does that equal? Because that's an okay start, but that doesn't really give your reader much of an idea of where you're going. And again, students, great IELTS scores are not just achieved by having vocabulary and grammar. That's a base. And you don't need a ton. You don't need a lot of vocabulary or grammar. If you have good ideas, you can get some really good scores with relatively nominal amounts of vocabulary or grammar. So if you have, like, let's say 1,500 words of English that you can use well, and you have some good ideas, you can get a high score if you put them together. Okay? It's not just what you say, but it's also how you say it. Okay? So Sayeda says to reap the benefits of education. What is that, Sayeda? Gamer says to gain skill sets for better jobs. What does that mean? Ugolhan says best teachers. Okay, students, this is probably the time when I should say visualize. Okay? So you visualize yourself as a student, which many of you are. Okay? Visualizing is super important for good planning. So when you visualize yourself as a student, what do you see? What is your goal as a student? Because that's what education is meant to provide you with, right? So what is your goal as a student? What should quality education provide you with, right? And students, if you have good ideas and you write a good essay, even if you have some mistakes, you're going to get a good score. If you have general ideas, if your essay is very unclear, confusing, you can't get a good score, even if you have good English. Okay? So you're visualizing yourself as a student. What's your goal? What do you hope to achieve? Okay? Keep it simple. All right? Let me see what you're saying. So Karem says to create a fun and engaging learning process. Okay, so okay, sure, that's a step in the right direction. Enjoyable learning. Okay. What does that lead to? Alexander says to be able to reach a prestigious job. Alexander, yes and no. We often don't know what that job is. We don't know which jobs will be that. Some jobs people just build. I never knew that I would be doing what I'm doing exactly with my education and my degree in psychology. So keep it simple. Okay? And I'm still not seeing it. And I really want to train you to think this way. Okay? So you're in school, you're learning math. What happens next? You're learning your algebra. Okay? What happens next? Right? Your teacher teaches you 2 weeks of algebra. What does the teacher do next? Okay, visualize, students. See yourself. Andrew, you're on the right track. So Andrew says to better understand knowledge that we're learning, to have it practical. Tsegareta says probably critical thinking. Elizabeth says to achieve goals. Carolina says applying the knowledge. Alexandra says to test ourselves. Yeah, the one word that I'm really looking for is, so again, remember the original question, right? Like, why change the education system? To improve the quality and to improve, starts with the P, the word, P-E-R-F would be the three words, or first four letters, sorry, of the word. What do you think the word is? And this is what I'm looking for, and I think some of you are going to be like, oh, I can't believe I didn't think about that, right? The goal of education is to improve, yes, Alexander, to improve performance. Ultimately, that's it, right? If you visualize yourself, everybody wants to get 100% on their exam. That's your goal as a student. You learn the content, and then most students, maybe not everybody, but most students really want to get a perfect score. I'm sure all students are happy when they get that perfect score. Would you agree? Do you agree that the reason we would want to change education is to improve the performance of students? Okay, and if I'm really thinking critically and I'm an expert user of English and knowledge, then I would say improve performance and utility, right? Utility means the usefulness of knowledge, and that's where we would say better jobs, better innovation, right? Better use of technology like AI, right? So improve performance, improve the utility of knowledge, so the ability for the student to use that knowledge. Does everybody agree that that's why we would want to change education systems? Now, the how is being answered for us in the question in this case, right? And so how? Obviously, the answer here is by focusing on individual needs and strengths, teaching practical as well as theoretical knowledge, right? Okay, so those would be the hows, okay, of how to do it, all right? And then, of course, think of the real examples. So what are we actually talking about, okay? So graphic design skills, math skills, using AI if we want to get very modern day skills, which require a lot of critical thinking, right? So that would be it, okay? Okay. Makes sense, correct? Okay, so that's the what, why, how of the topic. Okay. Now, the controlling ideas. And so here it's saying that, look, basically we have this modern system that's evolving where we're focusing on each student's skills and interests, even at the grade 1 level. I can see this. I have a daughter in grade 2 and their class has 21 students. And in the new system, each student gets to focus on their strengths. Of course, they cover all the subjects, but they have special separation in the teaching materials where they focus on the strengths that they have and the interests that they have, right? Because ultimately, we don't just all become jack of all trades. It means a person who does everything. We're not all engineers, doctors, lawyers, right? We have specializations, okay? All right. So why should we wait until university? Most people already at an early age show more interest towards one area than another, right? So why not lean into those strengths? That's the concept of these new education systems. And many of you, if you don't see it yet, will start to see these systems emerging in your part of the world also. Now, of course, there must be an advantage. What do you think that is? Okay, so again, when you're doing your bullet points, okay, I would think, okay, well, what's the advantage of that? Okay, what is the advantage? And here, a student asked me just in the last week, like, should I write a paragraph about the advantages, another paragraph about the disadvantages, and another paragraph about my opinion? You can. But if you do that, make sure that you're very good in English and very fast at writing or typing, because otherwise you'll run out of time or it will be difficult for you to get your ideas across clearly. It's probably better just to write 2 body paragraphs and link your opinion with the body paragraph that you agree with. Okay? Did everybody catch that? That was a bit of an important tip there. Okay? So for an effective essay in IELTS for this advantage plus disadvantage plus opinion, usually the best structure is to write about the advantage, 1 body paragraph, disadvantage, another body paragraph, and include your opinion in the introduction, in the body paragraph that you agree with, and the conclusion. This makes for the most effective and convincing essay, okay? I do not recommend writing a separate paragraph for just your opinion or including it in the conclusion only, okay? And again, Domenico, if he were here, he would say, yes, I've seen this already in some of my essays with my teachers. There is a logical reason for that, okay? So if you believe in the advantage, then fine, just add it to that. There's no need to create a new paragraph that basically copies the paragraph about the advantages or disadvantages. The reason why you don't want to just put it into the conclusion is because it's a weak persuasive essay. So it's not effective to convince your reader to give them lots of information and then at the end and say, oh, by the way, I support the advantages and that's what we should do. It's like, whoa, where did that come from? You just threw an opinion at me at the very end and I'm supposed to believe you because of the essay that you just wrote, right? Why didn't you try convincing me throughout the essay? Does that make sense? So oftentimes students wonder about the structures of these different kinds of persuasive essays. In this persuasive essay with advantage, disadvantage, opinion, this is the most effective structure for the IELTS in the 40-minute time limit. Discuss the advantage in 1 body paragraph, discuss the disadvantage in another body paragraph. Whichever one you agree with should be where you include your opinion in the body, and you should state your opinion in the introduction as well as the conclusion. It's more convincing when you do that. You introduce your opinion in the introduction and you support. Let me just write that down so that makes more sense. So introduce And I'm not the one making this up. This is standard writing. This is the skill of effective persuasive writing. So introduce your opinion in the introduction. Support your opinion in the body paragraph, and strengthen your opinion in the conclusion. Okay? Domenico, I love how you just jumped in there with your Uber commute. I love it. Domenico says, I'm commuting to school by Uber, but I gotta say that I totally agree with you. Yeah, I mean, when you get to university and you're writing these persuasive essays, then they're third person, obviously. You don't usually do first person in university. But the structure is this, right? Okay. So again, for all of you who are watching and you're like, where are these ideas coming from? What's going on? Where can I review these ideas? Do be sure to access your premium IELTS course. You can join it here at aehelp.com. Okay. Again, our website that supports these lessons are aehelp.com. Join it there. And I'm not just showing you this as a sales pitch, but for utility. Go to your My Student account after you purchase the course. Go to your full online academic IELTS course. Go to the writing section. Go through the writing section. Pay attention to all of the instructions. So you have the structure explained for task 2 with this diagram about what you should be doing. Now, of course, in the IELTS, you don't really need a title. But if you feel like putting in a title, it's not the end of the world. The examiner might appreciate that, like calling it the goal of modern day education. Sure, why not? There's no problem in that. It's 3-4 words and it's easy once you know what it should be. Okay, so use the course, go through it, review the information. These classes are sometimes really dense and heavy. So this explains to you what I will show you in just a moment about the introductory paragraph, writing the hook, the background, and the thesis. And I know what some of you are thinking. You're going, my teacher said a hook is not important in IELTS. Tell Domenico not to write a hook in his university paper and he'll tell you otherwise. The hook is not super important in the IELTS. But if you want to get a band 7, 8, or 9, I highly recommend considering a hook. The hook introduces your topic. It makes your essay desirable. The reader wants to read your essay, and that's always a step in the right direction for a high band score. So when your teacher might say, or someone might say to you, oh, you don't need a hook in IELTS, then you can always ask, can it help to improve my score? And the answer there should be, yeah, I suppose it can. Okay, well, I'll put one in, right? So it's not just do I need one, it's do I want one, right? You might not need a hook, but you definitely want a hook. Okay, your reader wants a hook as well. So use the course. Glory says, what is the hook? Right? You need to know that. It's basic writing skills. I will show you. The hook catches the reader. It introduces the topic, catches the reader. Okay, now we're getting ahead of ourselves before we go down this line of thinking. Let's first get back to our planning a little bit. And let's again, IELTS is not like university. You don't need to spend hours thinking and referencing your books. They should be common thoughts. So we're thinking about what are the advantages of having a custom system of education for society and for people, right? So we already had that in the previous why. To improve performance, better performance. It's more enjoyable. That's generally why we improve, right? So when we enjoy an activity, we tend to perform better in that activity. And ultimately, what does that lead to? So, and this is the thought that should come with this, right? So when we have lessons in school that are more for each individual student's strengths, right? From an early age even, and they show better performance and they enjoy it more, what will that create for the individual and for society, right? You should always think about these global concepts, society and the individual. So what will that create? Andrew says change your life. How? Carolina says it will lead to success and happiness. And you notice that humans are full of these qualitative words like success, happiness, change your life. But what does that actually mean when it comes to numbers, when it comes to reality, right? So what does that mean? Epsilinator says more employability, more success, better results. What does that mean? What are you actually telling me? What are those better results? Okay? What is it? So sure, better quality of life. Okay? What does that mean? How can I observe that? How can I observe a better quality of life for the individual in society? Okay. Yes, Alexander, very good. Alexander's really, notice Alexander's comments. He's really starting to clue in. He's like, oh yeah, okay. That's what it means, right? Very good, Alexander. So Alexander says more GDP. Nice. Start using words like that in your essay and you're definitely going towards a band 9. So more GDP, more productivity in the country, more development of technology, okay? A better overall health of the individual and society, right? Mental health, physical health. The ideas are just rushing to mind now, right? So if people perform better, we get jobs that we enjoy, we make more money, right? We produce more, we're healthier, because we don't have as much stress and we have more performance, more positive experience, each one of us in the school system. Does that make sense? We have more harmony, so society functions better. Okay, all right. Does that make sense, everybody? Yeah, Anna says the economy will develop more, right? Now you're realizing, oh yeah, okay, if I use these ideas in this essay, then it will obviously be a better essay. Okay, good. Now, what do you think are the disadvantages? Okay, and these would be my bullet points. So I would do these, Miracle, very quickly in bullet form. Okay, all right. So what would be the disadvantages? All right. Anna Lipovsky says, I got it. Yeah, you're starting to really like in your mind, you're starting to click, okay, it's not just English, it's how I'm thinking and presenting this content for those high band scores. Okay. Vishal says health is proportional to economy and GDP. Absolutely. What would be the disadvantage of a system like this? So if we're custom tailoring content for each individual, then what would be a negative of this? So Alexander says there could be more competition, more stress for students. Perhaps. Okay. Epsilon says there needs to be more investment, right? More expensive. Absolutely. Yeah. So when we're custom making curriculum, it's going to require more money, more expensive, more time, more teachers, generally more resources, right? So teaching the same math to every student is going to be easier. It's going to take less teachers, less time than if you're teaching one student one type of math, the other student another type of math, the other student another type of math. Definitely it's going to be greater stress on the education system to implement this. Okay, good. Now, decision time, your opinion. Okay, so please don't, on the IELTS, please don't do both. I agree with both. Okay, so here's another tip when it comes to opinion time. Tip: When the IELTS presents two sides in task 2 and asks for your opinion, avoid giving a third opinion or a third perspective or supporting both. Okay. Why? Because these are much more difficult essays that usually require more than 250 words and 40 minutes to compose effectively. So even if you think both, stick to one side. So even if you may think both together, just pick one side. Okay? Makes sense? Okay? Everybody? So your opinion should, for the IELTS, your goal is to get a high score, right? It's performance. So stick to one side, support that one side, clearly explain it, and move on. Spend your time reviewing your grammar, reviewing your vocabulary, make fixes instead of making a confusing, complicated essay. Okay? Yeah, James, exactly. It weakens the essay. It becomes very tricky. Okay? It's not a 250 word approach. That's for sure. Right? Okay? A lot of you are like, okay, I get that, right? Glory says, sure. All right. So stick to one side. So in this case, when we're looking at this question, right, and we've thought about the advantages, disadvantages, what is your opinion? So is it better to have a system where we're spending more money, more time, more teachers, and dealing with those disadvantages, but producing potentially students who perform better, who have more enjoyment in their education, and who potentially use that knowledge more effectively to improve the GDP, the production, the economy, the prosperity of that country? So what do you think? Disadvantages or advantages? Now, again, there are a lot of other ideas that you could use here, and there are different ways to answer this question. I'm just showing you my approach and the logic that comes to me when I'm looking at this. Okay. GDP, by the way, I see a few of you are confused by that. So just for vocabulary, GDP means gross domestic product. Okay, means gross domestic product. Okay, it's the measurement of the economic stability of a country. Okay. All right. So Anna says, I would say that the advantages exceed the disadvantages. Alexander says the choice is fairly obvious. Yeah. So I would agree that in this case, Alexander, the choice is fairly obvious. So I would support the advantages. So support for the advantages. Why? Okay. Now that's the question that becomes more important here, Alexander, is why? Why would I support the advantages? Why would I consider that to be the obvious choice? Now we do have to get to writing, right? And we will write the introduction and the rest of this essay. So why? I would say because by improving the economy, the surplus of revenue can be used to sustain and build this new education system. Right? So that's the forward thinking of this logic, right? Is that if we have an education system that's more expensive, that's more time taking, that requires more resources, yes, it will be a negative in the immediate. So the current generation that's producing will feel the negative impact of that. But in the long term, that's going to also be the solution to this. And by the way, everybody, just an interesting side note, I'm sure a lot of you are realizing the world is becoming rapidly very expensive. What we are talking about in this class today is one of the solutions to our economic problems in the world. It's not war. We don't really solve problems by beating each other with sticks, but through knowledge and education. And by improving our education systems in this way and supporting this change in society, this is just a personal tip, is definitely one of the steps that we can take to safeguarding Earth, to improving quality of life, to avoiding war, and to improving economies globally by focusing on individual skills and strengths, leaning into those, and creating effective productivity of the future generation based on individuals working together. So supporting this kind of change in the education system, in my opinion, needs to happen extremely fast. And it's one of our solutions to many of our problems in the world today. All right? Keep that in mind. That's just a little side note as you're kind of thinking about, world's getting expensive, all these problems, what's the solution, right? Custom education systems from grade 1. Okay, so that's what helped us last time. Humanity got ugly. So that's what helped us last time, is better education, better productivity. Okay, so let's stick with that then. All right, so let's get to writing. And again, writing persuasive essays, writing effective persuasive essays. It's a big topic, and today I focused a lot on the planning aspect and how to plan effectively. So I'm going to be writing a little bit faster so you can see the introduction, body 1, body 2, conclusion for this essay. I want to encourage you to write. And when you're thinking to yourself, wow, how is he writing like that? How is he writing so fluently or so quickly? The simple answer is we planned it, right? All of the ideas are here now. I have them. I just have to put them on the paper. So when you have that 5 minutes of good planning and you get these good ideas, the writing becomes very smooth and fluent, okay? And the words, even in English, will start coming to your mind, all right? All right. So here we go. Introduction. Okay, introduction, as I said, you don't need a hook, but you should have one. Okay, so you have a hook, you have a background, and you have a thesis. Okay, these are the 3 parts of a good introductory paragraph. So, I will write modern education systems need to develop for the betterment of humanity. And this kind of also includes one of the reasons, right? So the importance, and that's the background. So the background is a little bit included here, and that's totally okay. So I have my topic, modern education systems, right? Need to develop for the betterment of humanity, or instead of betterment, you can also write prosperity. Okay? And that's a general statement. You're not really arguing here. This is common knowledge. People know this. So people know that, if we want humans to continue to thrive and survive and enjoy, we have to always focus on better and better and better learning, of course, to keep up with technology and a lot of other reasons. Okay? Andrew, the hook, simple sentence, 8 to 12 words, introduces the topic, gets your reader interested. Our topic in this task 2, modern education systems, I want to make the reader interested. So I'm telling the reader that we need to think about this for having a prosperous human existence. Okay? Yeah, Alan says it's a catchy sentence to attract the reader and introduce the topic. Okay, now comes the background. The background is the definition. Okay, so from 2023 going forward for the next decade, and now my this whole piece becomes my leading expression of time, and it's already the definition. Where am I getting this from? Remember, we defined this earlier in the class. So from 2023 going forward for the next decade, schools, so public schools, right? Because remember I said public schools from elementary or primary, depends on British or American English, primary to secondary school, need to focus on individual rather than group learning. Okay? All right? The importance, ultimately, the goal of education, of quality education, it's coming from you, your suggestions. You said quality education. The goal of quality education is to enhance students, let's show possession, performance, and utility. Okay? That's why this question's important. That's why we're talking about it. Okay? Now again, everybody, I'm showing you band 9 level planning, writing, vocabulary. If you don't have all of this vocabulary, that is okay. You can express these ideas in simpler words, in simpler ways, and you can still get very good scores because you have a very good answer to the task 2 question. Yes? Everybody follow with me? I know I get really passionate about that. Okay? It's not unity, and it's utility. Utility means the usefulness, so the ability to use it, to apply it. Okay? That's why you have your utility bills, because those are services that you use, like electricity, for example, right? Electricity is useful. It's your utility. Okay? So ultimately, the goal of quality education is to enhance students' performance and utility. Now, here comes my thesis. The thesis is super important. While a customized education system demands greater resources, and this could be a disadvantage, I believe the benefit of improving both the individuals and society's prosperity in the long run is greater. Is more. Okay, now because I use prosperity here, I'm going to change this back to betterment at the start. I just don't like repeating words, especially not in the same paragraph. Okay. All right, now I review my introduction. So when you review your introduction, it's a good idea to look at the question again, just to make sure that you have addressed the question accurately. Okay, so modern education should focus on interests and strengths of each student rather than a standard lesson plan. Discuss the advantages and negatives of this and give your own opinion. Okay. So, modern education systems need to develop for the betterment of humanity. From 2023 going forward for the next decade, public school from primary to secondary school needs to focus, I might even say and beyond, because maybe it will go on forever, needs to focus on individual rather than group learning. Ultimately, the goal of quality education is to enhance students' performance and utility. While a customized education system, instead of education system, I'm going to replace this because I'm using education system up here as well. What can I replace that with, everybody? What's a good word here? And I used it before, so you should be able to think of it. It's one word. While a customized something demands greater resources, You said academic system accelerator. Yeah, but I can use a better word here, a more academic, better term here that we're actually thinking of. Anna says academy. Yeah, academy is okay as well. Learning, Alexandra, is okay as well. We've got some better words at our disposal here, and you probably know it. I used it earlier. It starts with a C, pronounced a K. Okay, what is it? I would go with the word curricula or curriculum. That's right, Sieta. Curricula is plural, okay? So it works the best here. While a customized curricula demands greater resources, and this would be a disadvantage, I believe the benefit of improving both the individual's and society's prosperity in the long run is more. All right, now we've got a Band 9 introduction on our hands. Okay, and a couple of you got the right words. Remember, curriculum, one system, curricula, multiple systems or plans for education. Okay, all right, good. Now we want to write body paragraph 1, and body 1 will have a topic sentence. It will have an explanation, and it will have some examples, okay, to support those ideas. Now, here, the thesis statement is really important because the thesis statement structures the essay. So here, when I say, while a customized curricula demands greater resources, and this would be the disadvantage, this is my body paragraph 1, okay? And that will be the side I don't agree with. So that should be my shorter body paragraph. It should be my first one. I always want to finish with the side I support because that's what I want my reader to be thinking about after they finish the essay. Does that make sense, everybody? Again, I'm not the one making this up. This is what you will hear from English professors teaching literature with the correct strategies that are standard in essay writing. So when you write a persuasive essay where you present both sides of the argument and your opinion, you always present the side you disagree with first because you want your reader to remember the side that you agree with and think about that more. Okay? Everybody got that? So this is the side I disagree with. So I'm going to write a body paragraph about this, and I'm going to keep it brief. Okay? So here we go. My topic sentence basically paraphrases that first point with more details. And go ahead, students, you can write. So even though I'm doing a lot of talking and you're conversing and there's lots of information, go ahead and write some of these sentences. So write a hook, write a body paragraph, write a thesis. I want to see what you come up with. It doesn't have to be the same as my sentences, okay? So having tailor-made lesson plans for students from the age of 6 to 16 clearly needs more teachers, time, technology to implement effectively. Okay? So here I'm telling the reader that yes, okay, I get it, right? And I'm defining it, right? Look, so this is what needs to happen. Notice how I don't use first of all or firstly. Why not? Why didn't I use something like first of all? Okay, again, it's not bad, but it's basic writing. It's middle school or high school writing. It's not university level writing to go, okay, body paragraph 1, I have to write first of all. No. And if Domenico is still listening, he'll tell you that if I write first of all in my body paragraph in university, my teacher crumples up my paper and throws it away because they don't like fillers. They don't like jargon like that. They want concise, precise communication. So you don't need first of all or on the one hand, on the other hand. Do you know why? Because content gives you persuasion, not an expression. Now, if you want to write first of all, or on the one hand, sure, it's not going to hurt your mark. But in university, it will. So keep that in mind. Okay? All right, I'm really pushing everybody today. So look at the sentence. Having tailor-made lesson plans for students from the age of 6 to 16 clearly needs more teachers, time, technology to implement effectively. I didn't tell you first of all because I want you to just focus on the content of that thesis point that I have up here. Okay? All right? So, with an average of 25 students in each class of every grade, giving personalized lessons in math, art, biology that cater to that student's talents likely needs an extra teacher or two, which will immediately, instead of will, I don't want to use the future, which immediately increases the burden on the education budget. Okay, and then I can give a clear example. If a teacher has a $2,000, and I use symbols to make this fast, $2,000 salary today, teaching general knowledge, the cost for the same class for staffing is now $6,000, right? So this is a clear deficit, right? This is a clear negative. Okay. So this is the negative, and I want to explain this and give an example. Okay, so having tailor-made lesson plans for students from the age of 6 to 16 clearly needs more teachers, time, technology to implement effectively. With an average of 25 students in each class of every grade, where am I getting these numbers from? I'm just thinking average classes. If you said 20, 30, doesn't matter. Just don't say 100, unless that's true in your country. Okay. Giving personalized lessons in math, art, biology that cater to that student's talents likely need an extra teacher or two, which immediately increases the burden on the education budget. If a teacher has a $2,000 salary today, $2,000 monthly salary today, teaching general knowledge, the cost for the same class for specialized teaching for the staffing is now $6,000. Okay. Look at the word Domenico just used. So Domenico responded to that first of all. However, secondly, Domenico says, my supervisor is nitpicky and he dislikes templates and predetermined writing. That's right. That's the, you reminded me, Domenico. That's what they call it in university when you use on the one hand. On the other hand, they'll cross it out and they'll go, don't use predetermined writing. Use content, right? And if he spots it, won't read the essay. That's right. He'll say, just rewrite it. Exactly. So that's one of the negatives of a lot of that teaching that's happening with IELTS is students get a big shock when they get to university because some of those skills can actually be a negative in university. You have to be very careful. Okay. So here we go. Nevertheless, even with these negatives, the overall outcome is preferable. Okay. So preferable means we want it. Okay, it's desirable. And there are lots of different vocabulary. So it's not the vocabulary that we need to get lost on here. It's the content. Okay, so nevertheless, even with these negatives, the overall outcome is preferable. So I'm making my connection here. Okay, so I'm connecting to my second body paragraph, which will be the advantages and my opinion. Okay. Now, in the introduction, I did use the I believe. So with this pronoun, I basically said to my reader, look, this is a first person essay. I'm writing my beliefs. This is my subjective view. It's a first person voice. Again, everybody, if you're not sure about first, second, third person voice, what that means, I highly recommend going to our website, using the premium version of our course. Maybe Carolina, if she's still here, or one of our members, they can tell you how to get that, and understand the different types of essays and the different voices of the essay, right? So here you can see generally the essay is in first person view voice, and again, sometimes you will hear your teacher saying, oh, don't use I, me, my. That's not a rule. There's a reason why we use it or why we don't use it, and you have to understand when to use the first person, when not to use the first person. Okay, same with second, third person voice. You definitely need to know that before college or university. So even if you don't learn it for IELTS, which you should because you might as well, you definitely need to know it for college or university, because if you don't, it's going to cause you a headache there. And again, Domenico, I'm sure you'll say, yeah, if there is a voice confusion in the essay, the teacher, especially at the master's or doctorate level, will take the essay and say, there's voice confusion. I don't know if this is your opinion, this is research opinion, or if you're talking directly to the reader, crumple, rewrite. Okay? So that's what it is. Okay? Maliciant, we're absolutely not tired of Domenico's supervisor, because his supervisor is not just Domenico's supervisor, it's all supervisors. So Millicent Anyango, when you go to your master's or PhD, your supervisor will expect the same, okay? Because these are the standards of academic writing, all right? That's why you get better IELTS scores when you use the standards of academic writing. Domenico's supervisor is the standard of academic writing, and that's what Domenico is saying, is like, hey guys, this is my supervisor, but in fact this is all of your supervisors as well. Okay, and I will 100% agree with you, Domenico. Whatever you've said so far has been 100% on. Okay, so know your voices, use the course. All right. Okay, so definitely understand the standards. Okay. Now, by the way, students, did you notice that even with all of this talking and instructions, the introduction and body paragraph 1 has taken me just 15 minutes from start to finish? Okay. Now you're saying, oh, it's because you know English, you know how to type and write. Yeah, but mostly it's because I know exactly what I want to write. Okay. I don't have to think about it much. Okay, and I could use a lot of different words, and I'm sure many of you will go, oh, I know that word. I don't know that word, but that word I know that he just used, so I could have used that one. Okay, now the second body paragraph. So the second body paragraph, again, with a good thesis, just focuses on your second thesis point. So it says, I believe the benefit of improving both the individual and society's prosperity in the long run is more. So that's my body paragraph 2. And it's the same structure: topic, sentence, explanation, example. Topic, sentence. So with custom education from an early age, one can argue that it leads to better mental and physical health, greater interests in niche subjects, and eventually better development or technology and a higher or a stronger economy for the society. Okay? So niche means specific. If you don't know the word niche, you can use the word specific, right? Like here's what I mean, where you might say, oh, Adrian, I don't know the word niche. Well, okay, but you know the word specific, right? So you can use specific. With custom education, at an early age, one can argue that it leads to better mental and physical health, greater interests in niche subjects, and eventually better technology and a stronger economy for society. Right? Okay, let's explain that. So what do you mean? Okay, here's a nice expression: leaning into the strengths of each student, such as an affinity. Now, if you don't know the word affinity, you can use the word talent or skill if you want to go even simpler. Again, I know a lot of you are trying to think, yeah, Adrian, but the reason you can do that is because you have the vocabulary. And I'm trying to show you it's not about the vocabulary. You could use such as a skill or talent instead of the word affinity. If you know the word affinity, you should use it. Okay, such as an affinity for math. Okay, so leaning into the strength of each student, such as an affinity for math, can yield a student who excels in math and becomes a skillful engineer for future society. Okay, all right. Now, this is where I might show my opinion. So you're going, okay, Adrian, I'm running out of time here. It's taking me a long time to get to this point. What do I do next? Can I give more explanations, more examples? Sure. However, what I think you should do is include your opinion here with your example, right? Why not? Okay. All right. So, I believe, so I predict, and I can predict here, and this will both give the example and support this side. I predict that a student talented in math and fostered can become the next Einstein, which can help society to solve the energy crisis. And in this way, the added cost of this modern education system is justified. Okay, so that's my specific example, my opinion, and my support all in one sentence, right? Why? Because I visualize it. You have a kid, they're really good in math. The teacher's like, okay, let's give him a lot of math homework, math assignments. Let's give him that type of learning where he's thinking critically about arithmetic, logic, okay, as opposed to another student who's focusing on art. That student becomes brilliant. They become a scientist. They discover how to effectively use nuclear or solar energy, and boom, energy crisis solved, okay? So I predict that a student talented in math and fostered in this subject from grade 1, right? A little nice expansion there, grade 1, can become the next Einstein, which can help society to solve the energy crisis. And in this way, the added cost of this modern education system is justified. Now, conclusion, right? Point supported. Now my conclusion. Now the conclusion also has 3 parts. Points restated, argument strengthened, take-home message. So I know some of you are thinking, wow, he started kind of slow with the planning. Now he's going so fast with these different parts of these body paragraphs. I am. It's impossible, students, to go into every little detail within 90 minutes, you would be here until Sunday morning, and I would be very tired by that time. So again, if you're like, well, I want to see all of the details, I need to know how to write like this effectively, then go to the course, go through the course, get the full version of our premium IELTS package and get lots of videos with me and about this content. And it's not just me doing this. We have a team of about 10 individuals that work on this day in and day out to try to bring you the best learning that's useful for your IELTS and for your university. So click that button and join it, okay? It's aehelp.com, all right? Carolina's just put the link there for you in the chat. And again, you can get it through Shopify directly through YouTube. We guarantee our products, okay? Because we know that we're giving you value. All right. So anyway, back to the conclusion. The conclusion is points, argument strengthened, okay, and take-home message. Essays should always have value. So you're going like, okay, why did I read this essay? What's in it for me? What do I get? Right? That's your take-home message. A good essay, if you can write a sentence at the end of your essay in the IELTS for the examiner, where the examiner goes, oh, wow, I actually learned something from this candidate. I didn't just read another essay, but I learned something from this candidate. I guarantee your band score just went up a half band. Everybody catch that? That was an important point. So if your examiner or if the marker is reading one essay, another essay, one of my friends who's an examiner, she said that she would read over the weekend about 150 essays after an IELTS exam. She was contracted to mark them, and she would get anywhere from like 130 to like 180 essays. So just imagine you're marking 180 papers, some not so good, some okay, some great. What is the great? What is the band 8, the band 9? What are those great essays? And she said it, those are the ones that I remember. Those are the ones where I read the essay and it answers the question and I get advice or I get a piece of information where I'm like, wow, that's insightful. That's a good thought. I learned something from this person. Immediately the score goes whoop. Okay. In university, that's the only essay that gets good marks. Okay. And again, Dominica will tell you that. If your essay doesn't do anything extra, anything special, if it doesn't present information in a different way, in a new way, in an insightful way, in an innovative way, it's going. Now in graduate school, of course, Domenico will tell you that there is no option but to have an essay like that. In undergraduate, in your bachelor, you might get a lower score. In graduate school, it's just a rewrite. Okay, if you're just repeating content. So conclusion, points. All right. As education advances, it needs to develop in order to improve the living standards of each person as well as society on a whole. Okay? That's kind of my leading in. All right, and in the IELTS, they like to say in conclusion. Again, in your university, they do not. So I'm not sure if Domenico's met with this response, but if you write in conclusion, they literally go, no. There's certain places where, yes, you can use that, but often, more often than not, you don't use that in university writing or in college writing, okay? In IELTS, it's okay. They like that kind of high school lead-in. So like I said, on the one hand, on the other hand, in conclusion, IELTS works. College, university doesn't work as much. So in conclusion, as education advances, it needs to develop in order to improve the living standards of each person as well as society on a whole. Taking the direction of unique curricula that utilizes the talents and interests of young learners is a viable and beneficial approach today and tomorrow. I believe that societies should strongly consider investing money and time today for a better future. Okay, that's my take-home message. So if we're like, oh, education is costing society so much, oh, so much of our tax money is going into education, we shouldn't be complaining about that. We should keep in mind that if it's being used correctly, if we're yielding people who perform better and who use their knowledge better, that is going to pay off for humanity, for our children, for our grandchildren, and for all of society in the world. Okay? All right, Sumit is asking, what's the total number of words? Let's check, Sumit. So let's check it out. Total number of words, 356. So not bad. Maybe a little bit on the long side. I like to kind of keep it closer to 330, but it's 356 according to my word count. So word count, 356. Now again, remember that we're going for a band 9 here, and your band 9 will not be achieved with 250 words. It's nearly impossible. I've talked to multiple examiners, and every one of them that I have asked have said I have never scored a 250 word essay over a band 7. Never. Every one of them. And some of them have marked thousands of essays, and not one of them have they, because it would have stuck out. They would have been like, oh, that was just 250 words and they got a band 8. Never, not one essay, 250 have scored over band 8, not band 7. Okay. All right, everybody. So that's what a band 9 essay looks like. And now some of you might be surprised, but with all this talking, an explanation, the actual writing of this essay only took 35 minutes. So imagine if I didn't explain this much, each part of the essay and the words and about word counts, etc. If I just focused on the planning that I showed you at the beginning and on the writing, I could have written you this essay in about 20 minutes. Okay? So keep that in mind. All right, everybody. I will post this essay on our YouTube community board along with the question so that you can review it. You can learn some vocabulary from it. For those of you who really want to get great scores and want to just learn effectively each day, as on the topic of effective learning and customized learning, visit our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Go through the content, go through the videos, go through the course, and use the code PUBLIC9 to get that extra little 10% discount. Our academic IELTS website looks like this. You just click the big red button. Good questions, by the way, here in the chat today as well. Carolina, thank you for moderating. I saw that you did quite a bit of work there to have the class run smoothly, effectively. And Domenico, I appreciate your examples from real life of what is expected in university literature. Okay. Adele, 356 is definitely not too much for a band 9. Band 9 essays will often reach 350, sometimes even 400 words. Okay. All right. For the general IELTS, everybody, gieltshelp.com, same red button there. All right. Thank you for bearing with me. I know there's a lot of content. I know it takes a lot of energy, and I know that it's late for many of you wherever you are, but it's worth it. Okay. It's what you need to know for both the IELTS and for university. Writing is key. It's a big part of your success. So there you go. Muhammad Ali, we just did task 1 before this class. Check out the video on YouTube. All right, everybody. Again, last thoughts, aehelp.com, gieltshelp.com. I'm back tomorrow with speaking part 2, speaking part 3, I'm going to share some Zoom links with you so that you can actually talk in those classes, okay? And I hope to see you then. You're all brilliant, beautiful people, and I'm sure many of you already, and if not yet, will write better than me. Just keep practicing these strategies. Much love to all of you, wherever you are in the world today. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from Victoria, Canada. Bye for now.